Thank you. So let's get on with all the other stuff. And we're joined by journalist and former Green Party politician Peg Alexander. Hi, Peg.
Hi, good morning.
So just on the coming king, is he going to stay green? I know you've been, your whole life has been green issues. What do you think about him becoming a campaigner as king?
Well, I obviously am dead chuffed, really, that we've got a head of state who does care about these issues. And I think we all know the climate crisis is in the worst possible situation. But at the same time, obviously, he's got to balance that with the duties and responsibilities of being a non-political monarch in our constitution. And so I think, I'm not sure how much we'll hear from him now that he's monarch, actually, on those issues. During that, I guess we'll wait to see, because, everybody's talking about how the Queen was so careful never to get involved in politics, and he's going to have to do the same. And the climate crisis, we're at the point now where this needs to start getting really political. Do you know what I mean? We're not talking small measures anymore. I think we've got to start getting dead political and really start talking about things like tax system, how we measure our economy. Is pursuit of endless GDP growth the right thing for our only economic measure? What are we going to do about tariffs, about taxes, what happens with ownership? All those questions is dead political. So I'm not sure how much he's going to be able to be part of that debate.
But James, it would be electrifying if he said, look, the past is the past. I'm going to be king for the climate.
It'd be interesting. He hasn't really had a very good start, if that's the case, then, because he's been flying up and down the nation on.
Oh, come on.
So
Look, there's only one king.
Yeah,
there's only one moment like this.
I understand.
It doesn't matter.
Well, it does matter, because the point is, because I think you've got to lead by example. If you're going to advocate that other people need to live their lives and that taxation and all these things, then I'm afraid you have to lead by example. So I don't necessarily see the point quite in the same prism as Peg, perhaps, in terms of the urgency or the otherwise. But I do think that the king can lead by example, and there are certain things that he can and should do. And I think that there's probably a non-political side to the climate, and then there's probably a political side to the climate.
All right.
And I think he'll deal with the non-political.
Well, he's done a lot of leading by example so far. He's been on this since the 70s, as far as I can remember. Peg, there's a story today that we've got this situation we have with Diana, where people come, bless them, and they leave all kinds of stuff, and they're leaving toys, Paddington bears outside the palace. They're leaving flowers in wrappers. It's a bit worrying.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to deal with all of these, and I understand that people want to express their emotion, but somehow we've got in this situation, haven't we, where we conflate things with expressing emotion, and I would rather people express emotion, talk to their friends, put stuff on social media, say what you felt about the Queen, pour that out, rather than looking at things. I mean, the Paddington stuff's dead cute, isn't it? And I love Paddington. Paddington 2 is one of my favourite films. I love it, and I understand why everybody's really caught onto that. But ultimately, those Paddingtons are going to end up in landfill, which is no good for anyone. Personally, I would say, if you want to do something and beyond expressing emotion, give money to a charity. That's what I would say. Don't get the flowers. And if you do get the flowers, please do take the wrappers off before you leave it, because otherwise they're just going to end up in landfill. And that's going to be no good for anybody.
Our own Dawn Neeson was down by the palace. I think we got a picture of her. And just there we are, Nina. I don't know. Do you say, look, please don't leave Paddington bears?
No, children will want to do that, and I think you have to let them. People. This is an extraordinary time. People want to express their grief, and they want to show respect, and they want to feel a connection somehow. And if children want to leave Paddington bears, I can't understand it.
You don't like
but
it,
the business with plastic wrapping, what they're doing in the parks is that they're saying because they move the flowers to Green Park. And they're saying to people, take the wrapping off, and they've got volunteers there with bags, and all the wrappings are coming off. So that people are negating any kind of problem with plastic there. So the flowers are not a problem because the wrappings are being taken off.
They are, but then people are still leaving flowers in wrapping, as
yes,
we can
but then
see.
other people are taking them off.
Well, at least they are. I think this is definitely an improvement, and I'm pleased to see that that's the case. I think the way to deal with the bears, if people must leave the bears, and I do understand that, you know, perhaps for small children or whatever it may be, it's a message. If someone could just go and collect the bears, so that after a day or two, instead of ending up in landfill, that they end up in children's homes, or they end up in a, you know, in a somewhere where we can use them effectively. Look, I also love Paddington Bear. I'm not even a particular fan of marmalade, but I will have marmalade sandwiches.
There's the thing. Now, Michelle, what do you think about people are leaving marmalade sandwiches by Buckingham Palace?
That's wrong.
I think, well, I'm not a fan of marmalade, so probably not.
But they're marked for later, which is what...
I mean, I understand the sentiment. I mean, that video of the Queen with Paddington Bear was just beautiful, and it was so emotive for so many people watching. However, we are going back to going green, and I think there needs to be more signposting before events like this. People are so emotionally triggered that they do want to bring you know, flowers, marmalade sandwiches, anything that relates to the Queen.
They shouldn't be stopped if that's what people want to do. Grieving is a process that everybody has to go through.
We're a country of high-vis jackets. You know, you give people permission to wear a high-vis jacket and start saying don't leave sandwiches. You have so many volunteers.
You can't. People must be allowed to grieve.
I know, but then there's rats. And I'm sorry, but if you have too many marmalade sandwiches, then you will...
Well, let's check with Peg. Where are you on the marmalade sandwiches? Because I would have thought they're biodegradable. That should be fine.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not really into food waste. You know, Marmite sandwiches, that's another option, another nice British option. You know, I just think it comes back to that thing. Why do we feel that we need to have a thing in order to express emotion? Do you know what I mean? And in order to say what we want to say. And actually, for me, life is so much about human connection, and it's about how we talk to each other, and it's about all those things. It's not about things. So I think everybody show your feelings, say what you feel about it. Let's not put it down to things.
You disagree?
I disagree. Flowers have been a traditional, down the centuries, way of expressing your emotion, and flowers should still be used. If people want to leave flowers, let them leave flowers.
Look at the Diana thing. Okay, it was a mess maybe, but the actual carpet of flowers outside Kensington Palace. Oh my goodness, that really said something, you know. But I think they probably should have left them outside Buckingham Palace, actually.
Yeah, but I think what they're doing this time in terms of the processing and the putting the plastic away and then finding a way where they're sort of creating this incredible flower structure as opposed to that horrible, you know, filthy mess after, you know,
all right. Nina has a story. In other news, we've got a major financial crisis, right, which we'll get back to on Tuesday. Yeah. And Truss is going to have an emergency budget.
Yeah, she says she vows to go ahead with an emergency budget. In technical terms, it's not actually an emergency budget. I don't know what the difference is, but it's a fiscal event. I mean, there is a difference apparently, but it is basically a budget. And, you know, although...
Cut taxes.
Sorry?
She's going to cut taxes.
Well, if she's going to do that, then that is a budget, surely. But because of everything being held up, because of the Queen's death, they've also said, oh, well, she can't possibly go ahead because she's got to go to New York next week to visit the United Nations Assembly, and she's hoping to see Biden, etc., etc., etc. So they've discussed holding it on September the 23rd, or even recalling MPs at the end of the month. But sources said it wouldn't take place during the Labour Party conference, which is due to run from September the 25th to the 28th. So it's all, you know, everything is kind of concertinaed up. It was bad enough anyway.
It is bad enough. I mean, the Queen funeral has distracted us from it, but it will come crashing back next week. James, I'm going to show something from the lovely Chris Kamara, footballer, football commentator, and he's speaking on the Diary of a CEO podcast with Stephen Bartlett.
Every day I wake up, the first thing I think, am I going to be able to talk today? I feel I'm doing these programs and they're not getting the best of me, but they're tolerating me, you know. I'll wake up, I'll go in the bathroom and I'll look in the mirror and say a few words and it's fine, or I think it's fine. The perception is fine in my head, and then I'll go downstairs and talk to Anne, and all of a sudden that pathway is restricted.
It's apraxia, James.
So it's for those people who are dyspraxic, It's a little bit like that, except this is kind of a brain, I suppose, problem that comes either with age or it's a condition that is an onset as opposed to.
It's a neurological pathway. It's something interrupted. It's not psychological. It's a physical blocking.
Yes. So apraxia is something that is an onset and then it becomes worse and it interrupts your ability to be able to speak. And look, the way he told that story, it's really sad. I mean, this is a guy who is hugely loved, mostly because of his faux pas and all sorts of things that he's done over the years. And he's just a very, very funny guy. And I think partly that it's not that people are tolerating him. I think it's actually that the people really love him and the fact that he's still got something to say. And I think people hopefully are very forgiving of it.
Of course,
it raises awareness.
I think the problem, Nina, is just for him that he has to think and speak quickly in that job he's got. Because it's all about football. I mean, it's all the great moments on that show. Chris, he's talking to Jeff, and then something happens and he misses it. You know,
it's a very cruel condition, isn't it? A very cruel illness. I mean, it's like, you know, Parkinson's is so cruel when somebody, you know, degenerates over a period of time. All these things are, you know, they must be so hard to deal with, and your heart just goes out to people who have to suffer this and have to try and cope with it, and the people around them.
Absolutely. I hope to see Chris soon and hear.
And as a proper Leeds fan, can I just say,
marching
on together, Chris.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Peg. You've got a story about a mountain for sale at £400,000.
Yeah, 400 grand. You can buy yourself a mountain in North Wales. It's up for sale. They say that it's got 115 acres. You can put trees on it. So personally, what I think we should do with this is actually keep it in all our hands. I think that Countryside should be for us all. So if it has to be sold, let's get a crowdfunder campaign together. Let's maybe raise some community shares. Let's all buy it, and then we can make sure that we keep the rights for everybody to go and walk up this bit of land.
Yeah, is it private now and it's going even more private, or is it public and it's going private? Because I don't. It's not good to lose land, is it?
It's not. I'm not sure what the current situation with it is, but that's always the worry, isn't it? If something gets bought, that it'll get bought and you'll stop rights to it. I think it's quite popular currently with walkers, or even worse, that someone will buy it and they'll use it for purposes that actually aren't going to benefit anyone other than those who own it. So I'd like to see it remain as a place for people to go walking. I mean, people, you know, we talked earlier. Nina was talking about, you know, Scotland being seen, and we've got the most amazing countryside, and we've just got to make sure that it's available for all of us. You know, with the pandemic, so many more of us got out into the countryside and realised it's ours too. So yeah, if this mountain has to be sold, then let's keep it in all our hands. Maybe a bit of a crowdfunding campaign.
Alternative view, if there was more flat land rather than mountain, I would, if I had the money, I'd buy it and put wind farms on it.
Oh,
great idea.
What a terrible idea. What's wrong with you?
No, wind farms.
Awful.
We need the electricity.
So, wait a minute, what's that got to do with the mountain? You wouldn't put
No, I'm saying if it wasn't mountain, if it was just...
You just want to put wind farms on anything that's not moving.
Classy don't own that land, then.
Okay. Michelle, you've got a story about a McDonald's ride-through, not a drive-through.
This is an interesting story. We've got a clip as well. The question is, what lengths would you go to get a McDonald's? One guy did this. Have a look.
100 chicken nuggets, please. 100 nuggets? 100 chicken nuggets, please. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. You was hungry, man.
Is he... So, that looked serious. That didn't look like a stunt. He looked like the horse is hungry and he needs the nuggets.
Well, apparently the horse wasn't actually eating the nuggets. So I'm not sure whether he ate the whole 100 nuggets. I'm just surprised he didn't buy some carrots or a carrot bag for the horse. Apparently the horse is quite particular with the diet, so I'm not sure where all those nuggets were going.
So many questions here, Peg, aren't there? This is... I mean, I don't know if you're disturbed by that clip or you're okay with it.
Well, I mean, I kind of don't know what to think really about it. I'm a big horse fan, and as long as the horse got its carrots, really, yeah. And obviously, it's not something I would do, go to McDonald's, but there you go. That's because I'm a vegetarian, and it's not something I would do.
I don't eat McDonald's.
What?
It's not food.
What?
It's not food. I would not eat McDonald's.
Every so often, you've got to have a dirty Donald's.
No.
Peg says no. Peg says no.
Every day
I
of
have
the
a Five
week.
Guys.
But if you're vegan or vegetarian, you can have a McPlant and all
I
these
don't care.
things.
It's
The
McDonald's.
chips are the best.
The coffee's not bad. I mean,
I wouldn't eat.
Peg, no.
They're awful.
No.
The chips are awful.
Hang on. Peg is our special guest. Peg gets the final word.
I'm sitting in Leeds. You want chips? You want to get yourself a proper chippy, whether proper, the fat and the made straight out of frozen potato. That's chips.
Our guest has the final word, James. Okay? Don't go anywhere because thank you, Peg. The conversation continues after the break on Jeremy Vine Extra with Michelle.
Yes, I'll be joined by broadcaster Henry Bonsu and psychotherapist Lucy Beresford. We'll be discussing whether GPs should close for the Queen's funeral on Monday, and also something a bit different, as we want to ask you what you think about a new warning about dogs scaring seals on beaches. Conservationists say people need to control their pets better, but should dogs be banned from beaches altogether? Get your calls coming in now. 0207 862 2222 is the number.
So thank you very much to Nina, James, and thanks, Peg, for coming on as well. See you in the studio one day, I hope. Thank you. Michelle will be back after this short